pursue acting? When did that bug where you really said, okay, was it somewhere in college? Was it in high school? I mean, where you really said, no, I'm gonna do this professionally and I'm all in?
After I left school, I actively pursued it in Chicago. I was putting it, you talk about manifestation. I was just putting it in the universe. I had no idea how to get started. Even going to a performing arts program, the high school where I went, there was no tie to an agency. I didn't know the business. And it was 97. I booked my first job, which was a music video. I'd met someone who had done, his name is George Brashear. He actually had done soul food.
Yeah.
And told my mom, gave her information, said I needed headshots. I needed an agent, and kind of gave her the law of the land of how to get started, how to navigate that. And I listened to what he said. I was very obedient in my path. I knew I wanted to do it, obviously, prior to high school. I knew I wanted to do it as a kid. Remember, I was 9 years old memorizing biblical verses, like the night before. We had to recite them. So it had to be fun for me. I didn't understand. I was like, why do we have to study the Bible? Like, I went to church, but we didn't have to memorize whole chapters. Right. So it had to be a process I had to participate in. That was fun. So I began to do these kinds of things. It wasn't until I realized that it could become a career and I could take it seriously. And then that happened after I left school.
Okay. So it's something that was sparked in you younger, but then I guess at some point you got off into like, man, life in Chicago, right?
Chicago, it's one of those things. And I stand by this, and I'm a follow in the sword. Words are powerful. Your words have power. And I committed. I was like, I want to do this. My mom asked me, I was like, my grades started suffering. Now, mind you, academically, I was sound. I go from being a straight A student, even in college. Once I recognize like the focus in college is different, because they're not on your ass every day,
right,
regarding class or work.
They could care less if you pass or fail.
They don't care, especially not at Howard.
All they care about is that tuition paid. Did you buy the books?
Period. Absolutely.
That's it. When if you don't make the grade, you're gone, and they get the next one in there. Yeah, but go ahead. No.
That's real talk. That's real talk. And every school felt the same way. None of them had a different approach towards teaching their students. And so when I was at USC, I'll never forget, I was at USC, and I was taking some math class, and I couldn't remember none of the formulas. And I remember sitting during that final at UIC feeling like the whole point of math is figuring out the formula. Like once you get the formula, you can figure out how to solve the problem. And I can't even remember the formula. What is going on? And I felt that it was the first time I ever failed the final.
I've had many a damn at you about it like that, Self. Who am I kidding here? You get up and walk up to the front. Everybody's looking at you. You might as well have a moment. You know what I mean?
Everybody's like, he's done already.
Yeah,
I'm done. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
I can't finish this. So
man,
I might have just got it.
I couldn't remember nothing.
Man, I knew it when the professor stood up there. Do you understand? No, I don't understand. I'm trying to be politically correct and not hurt his feelings, And then, you can go to office hours and talk to people who speak clear English, and I'm sitting here like, well, then why am I at the lecture? But, but some people were getting it. Maybe it was just me.
No,
I had too much PTSD on my brain, but go ahead.
Well, because for me, I didn't see how that fit into my plan. Like, how is this getting me to where I need to go? You know, again, if I know the formula, I could solve the equation.
Right.
And so I was like, this doesn't feel like my journey. And I didn't want to waste no money. Like I applying for financial aid and get loans, or, you know, college is not free, you know. So I was like, this is, how can I be productive?
USC is definitely not free. You talk about costly.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, again, starting at Howard and then going there.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, so academically, you're now suffering. This F dropped my GPA down. I got a C in the class. And it was like, I don't want to go to school anymore. I want to start working. And I want to be an actress. And I told my mom that I was very serious. She believed in me. She supported it. And once I said it and put it out there, I had faith.
Now you was on God's path, and it was just...
It was heard.
Yeah.
And so then literally it's like things started coming, and I just had to be present and aware to see it. And in that comes everything. So I was getting all kinds of information about acting for jobs that were legitimate and for jobs that weren't legitimate, because I'm still a black young woman, you know, and so I'm still prey to predators in an industry full of predators. So I had to be very cautious and aware of this journey, and knowing that, you know, it's not something that is going to happen overnight.
Well, the predation. So were you working, did you ever do anything in Chicago, or when you left school here, you just, you know, hit the ground running on the LA acting scene pretty much? Or you went to the Valley and then met Tasia?
No, I actually booked my first film in Chicago called 1 Week, directed by Carl C.
Yo, yeah, Carl. Those are Tory Sands,
who I actually grew up with, to show you how small this world is.
Yeah.
He grew up on 126th and Harvard. I was hanging out with his sister, who was...
Oh, yeah. He sat right here and told us that, didn't he?
Yeah. I was hanging out with his sister and fighting in their backyard. Like,
she said, Carl.
Oh, I'm thinking about Kenny.
Yeah.
Oh.
Kenny starred in it.
Yeah, but I'm always
they're my sayings. He makes them up.
They're Kenny and Carl.
Yeah,
just like me and Tori is Tory Mills. So
no, it's all love. It's all love. But yeah, Carl Kenny. I had done some other, and Phil James, because Phil's from Chicago.
Phil, yeah.
Through Columbia College, one of the things that I recognized, having taken classes at colleges and universities, is Columbia College is a school specifically looking for actors. And so I really tuned in to the film departments of a lot of universities. So I used that information that I had, and that was
like these students are working. That was kind of
this is their mission. This is their dream. And so now I'm in alignment with other dreamers.
Yeah.
Like you, if you're in alignment with other dreamers and you guys have the same dream, then you're going to progress and move in the same direction. But but that's only if you're in alignment and you're very clear of what that was. And I was very clear. So this is a film about a man who finds out that he may have come in contact with someone who's contracted HIV a week before he gets married.
Man.
Like that within itself is a socially driven.
And this was HIV when it was a death trap. This wasn't the new HIV with, you know what I mean? And I don't mean to take light of HIV, but this was when HIV was a killer. Before they had the treatments and stuff.
Listen, I had 4 cousins die of HIV.
See? Yeah.
So it was a film that had affected my personal life. And this is where, you know, when you have personal and professional collide, is bound to be some kind of magic. What it did was it fostered this mindset within me that this is more than just about being on television and films. This is about leaving an imprint in our filmography, in our American filmography, specifically Black movies that represent us in a way that we like to see, which is like human beings. And I love that about that film. I loved working on it. It was one of the films, I will say, I remember when I booked it, you know, I am very much about my business. So even starting out, I was like, I booked a film, we have a contract, can you read this? And no one thought that this film was going to go beyond what it did. And I found that that is a very common opinion when it comes to projects with Black people. They have low expectations. And
yeah, Cooley High had very low expectations, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's a detriment to us when we believe it. It can be instrumental because that means that when we do produce art, we should really do what we want, because if they're not believing it in any way, and why shouldn't it be something that you enjoy doing for the sake of you and for the benefit of you? And I felt like that's what this was. This was the first film for all of us, starring Sadaka Muhammad, who's also from Chicago, and Kenny Young, and I had the supporting role that was in it. And it was my first film, and I kind of took that. It did well in the festivals. The Acapulco Black Film Festival at the time is ABFF now. At the time, ABFF stood for Acapulco Black Film Festival. And so it gone there and it won and done really well. And so I used that as like leverage to have something to promote myself in California, essentially, is what led me here. I was able to use all of the experience, all of the theater auditions that I had, because I was doing Black ensemble theater.
They love experience in LA. They love stuff in Kenya.
I did sound for Black ensemble for a while, you know.
Yeah, I worked
when they were at Kennedy King.
Okay. I had worked on it, worked with the theater when they were doing the Jackie Wilson story with Chester Gregory.
Okay. Yeah.
And wound up doing on Broadway. But at the time it was like, it was there, and it when you're in it, you don't know, because I was working my way up. So I'm doing stage management. I'm, you know, understudying, you know, nobody's giving me the stage right when you say I want to act. You have to work your way up in Chicago, which is a beautiful thing. Like Chicago it believes in labor. It respects labor. So if anybody is interested in anything and you are doing it, you have a plan, you have you in your mind, you see exactly where you want to go, and people see that and respect it. And the ones who aren't for them to be working with you anyway. So you just let them bypass and you keep going on that path. And I did that. So I was auditioning for videos. I was doing industrial films. I was doing short films, and I had done background work. I had my first film audition in Chicago. I auditioned for